The king isn't particularly well. He could be more sick than we think.
The alarming deterioration of King Charles III's health has ignited a fierce and silent confrontation inside the Montecito estate itself. While Prince Harry anxiously rushes to pack his bags and return to London to be by his father's side, Meghan Markle is quietly orchestrating a calculated plan to stop her husband at any cost in order to protect her own media weapon and personal interests in the United States. Meghan's selfishness not only gives rise to an intricate scheme designed to keep Harry from leaving, but also sparks a frenzied media campaign aimed at smearing Buckingham Palace across newspaper headlines. This media offensive immediately provokes Prince William's thunderous fury from London trapping Harry between his duty as a son and a deepening family crisis the very moment he awakens. Will Harry uncover the truth behind the drugged drink and make the decisive choice to walk away? Or will Meghan succeed in manipulating her husband to preserve her own position? And what judgment awaits this royal marriage now that trust has been shattered beyond repair? Buckingham Palace suddenly issued an urgent internal announcement to members of the royal family. King Charles III's health had taken an extremely severe and critical clinical turn. The news quickly leaked, triggering a global media earthquake as major and minor news organizations alike turned their full attention toward London. Yet on the other side of the Atlantic, inside the luxurious Montecito estate in California, another fierce and deeply tense silent battle had officially begun. The moment Prince Harry received the urgent news from his family, he became overwhelmed with worry and immediately began packing his luggage, making every necessary arrangement to secure the earliest possible flight back to London, either to mourn his father or to remain at his bedside during his final hours. However, Harry had absolutely no idea that every move he intended to make had already been quietly and secretly anticipated and blocked in advance by the woman beside him, Meghan Markle. Meghan understood her husband's psychological makeup better than anyone. She knew that if Harry returned to Britain at such a sensitive moment, seeing his ailing father confined to a hospital bed while once again confronting the immense weight of his royal responsibilities would inevitably soften his heart. His emotions and blood ties could easily drive him toward reconciliation with the British royal family after years of estrangement. To Meghan, this was the worst possible outcome. Such a reconciliation would mean the complete disappearance of their exclusive media weapon, the hidden stories, the lucrative royal secrets that had brought them fame and fortune in America. Without remaining in direct conflict with London, Meghan would lose the very source of her public value and find herself completely isolated in the eyes of the international media. Driven by that fear, she resolved that no matter the cost, she had to keep Harry in California and prevent him from having even the slightest opportunity to board a plane back to Britain. The moment Meghan realized Harry had picked up his phone to book a flight online, she instantly changed her demeanor and set her plan into motion. She completely broke down, bursting into heartbreaking sobs right in front of her husband. To strike directly at Harry's deeply sensitive emotions, Meghan began reviving every painful memory and every dark, miserable period she claimed to have endured while living in London under the control of the royal family. She screamed repeatedly, insisting that Harry's decision to leave at such a moment was nothing less than a cruel act of abandonment toward both her and their children. Meghan argued that their Montecito estate was already surrounded by aggressive paparazzi, creating an enormous security threat, and that she could not possibly face such chaos alone without him. To make her warning even more forceful, Meghan bluntly declared that she would never allow Harry to walk out of the house. She delivered her coldest and most ruthless ultimatum yet. If he still chose to pack his bags and walk out the front door to return to Britain, she would immediately file for unilateral divorce and use every possible means to secure full custody of their two children. Faced with Meghan's fierce threat of divorce and a bitter custody battle, would Harry surrender to her demands, or would he find another secret path to return to his father's side? Faced with Meghan's uncompromising threats of divorce and her extreme psychological pressure over child custody, the atmosphere inside the Montecito estate became as tense as a furnace on the verge of exploding. Yet unlike the many times he had yielded before, Harry refused to compromise this time. His heart was burning with urgency, and his mind was fixed solely on London, where his father was battling a devastating illness. Harry understood that his duty as a son would not allow him to back down in the face of any threat, even if it meant enduring a bitter and highly public divorce. He pretended to remain silent in order to temporarily calm his wife's fury, but deep inside, he remained determined to return to Britain at any cost. He knew he could no longer openly book a flight or pack his luggage in front of Meghan again, because doing so would only provoke even more extreme reactions from her. To turn that determination into reality, Harry quietly devised a carefully concealed plan of action. Taking advantage of the moments when Meghan was distracted, he discreetly slipped into his private study, locked the door, and secretly contacted his private secretary through a secure communication channel. Over the phone, Harry gave firm instructions ordering his secretary to immediately arrange and book another emergency flight that would take him back to London according to his original schedule. He stressed that every step from issuing the ticket and preparing transportation to the airport to arranging the accompanying security measures had to be carried out under absolute secrecy. Harry carefully instructed that not a single detail of the journey was to be revealed to Meghan or to anyone else inside the Montecito estate. He wanted to ensure that the trip would proceed smoothly and that he would leave only after every arrangement had been finalized. However, Meghan Markle was not someone who could easily be deceived, especially when her vigilance had reached its highest level. After living beside Harry for so many years, she understood every gesture, every glance, and every habit he had. Harry's unusual silence and his repeated disappearances into his private study did not reassure Meghan in the slightest. On the contrary, they only made her even more suspicious. Guided by her sharp instincts, Meghan stayed one step ahead and accurately guessed her husband's secret plan. She knew with certainty that Harry was quietly trying to contact his staff to arrange another flight in hopes of escaping her control and flying back to Britain. Determined not to let Harry's plan succeed under any circumstances, Meghan immediately devised an exceptionally subtle and carefully concealed countermeasure within the house itself. To stop Harry once and for all, without provoking yet another explosive argument, Meghan decided to resort to an extraordinarily discreet method. She quietly walked into the kitchen and prepared a glass of cool water for her husband, presenting it as an ordinary gesture of care, meant to ease his suspicions. Yet while preparing the drink, Meghan secretly slipped a small amount of a mild sleep-inducing medication into Harry's glass of water. It was a light sedative, administered in an extremely limited and carefully measured dose, just enough to affect Harry's nervous system and cause him to quickly drift into a deep, exhausting sleep without causing any harm, complications, or long-term adverse effects on his health. In Meghan's eyes, this was the perfect solution for keeping her husband exactly where she wanted him without leaving behind any trace of violence. Meghan gently carried the glass of water into the study and handed it to Harry with a softened expression filled with apparent remorse, pretending that she wanted to reconcile after their horrific argument earlier. Harry, already exhausted and overwhelmed by the stress of arranging his secret flight and harboring absolutely no suspicion toward the woman who had shared his life, accepted the glass and drank it all. Only a short time later, the medication began to take effect. Harry felt his eyelids growing unbearably heavy, his thoughts becoming clouded, and an overwhelming wave of drowsiness that he could no longer resist. He slowly collapsed onto the sofa in his study and drifted into a deep, dreamless sleep. As Harry temporarily lost all awareness, time quietly slipped away. The flight that his private secretary had worked so hard to arrange finally departed exactly on schedule, carrying with it the empty seat that Harry himself should have occupied. The prince's plan to return to London was completely destroyed as he missed the fateful flight while lying fast asleep, utterly unaware of everything around him, precisely as Meghan had calculated with flawless precision. While Harry remains trapped in a deep drug-induced sleep, what ruthless media moves will Meghan make next to further strengthen her position in America? Watching her husband sink completely into a deep, exhausting sleep on the sofa, under the effects of the mild sedative, Meghan Markle knew that the golden window to turn the situation in her favor had finally arrived. Without wasting a single moment, she immediately set the next phase of her plan to keep Harry from leaving into motion. Taking full advantage of the fact that Harry was fast asleep, completely unaware of everything around him, and utterly incapable of controlling the flow of information, Meghan proactively reached out to the network of media outlets, trusted journalists, and influential tabloid platforms across the United States that she had spent years cultivating. She paid them a substantial sum to simultaneously publish a flood of sensational, highly opinion-shaping articles across social media platforms and international news outlets overnight. The core narrative of these explosive reports spread at an astonishing speed. News outlets simultaneously pushed an extraordinary claim that Buckingham Palace and the British royal family were deliberately exaggerating or even staging and fabricating the shocking reports surrounding the severity of King Charles III's illness. According to the narrative promoted by Meghan's media network, the ultimate purpose of this medical drama was nothing more than creating overwhelming moral pressure to lure and coerce Harry into abandoning his free life in America and returning to London. To make the story appear even more convincing and persuade the public that she and her husband were the true victims, Meghan skillfully used these articles to circulate a series of vicious statements presented as direct quotations targeting the British royal family. The following statement was published by multiple media outlets under the guise of an exclusive source connected to Meghan. The British royal family is resorting to an extraordinarily cruel tactic by turning a father's health into a political weapon. They are deliberately exaggerating King Charles's illness to create an elaborate media trap. Their real objective in forcing Harry to return has absolutely nothing to do with family love or reconciliation. Instead, they intend to suppress him, punish him, and unload every ounce of their old resentment and bitterness onto his shoulders. They want to break Harry's spirit on the very soil of his own homeland. Not content with merely attacking the palace's motives, the articles commissioned by Meghan went even further by describing Prince Harry's current condition in vivid detail to generate sympathy from the American public. The reports stressed that the relentless pressure, coercive tactics, repeated phone calls, and psychological strain pouring in from London over the previous days had pushed Harry into an extreme emotional crisis. In sensational language, the articles portrayed the prince as utterly exhausted and completely broken down, both physically and mentally, no longer capable of making decisions for himself. They also quoted another official statement issued by media representatives acting under Meghan's direction. Harry is currently enduring immense psychological pressure resulting from London's manipulative tactics. His emotional state has completely collapsed and he is physically exhausted to the point that he cannot even stand steadily or undertake any long journey at this time. Buckingham Palace's deliberate attempt to force a deeply wounded son like Harry to return immediately and once again face punishment and long-standing prejudice is an inhumane act. We call upon the royal family to leave Harry's life alone and immediately stop using illness as a weapon of psychological warfare. Meghan's swift and ruthless media offensive immediately redirected the focus of international public opinion. Instead of concentrating on King Charles III's deteriorating condition, people around the world began fiercely debating whether the British royal family was truly manipulating the situation to punish Harry. Meghan watched with immense satisfaction as her plan unfolded exactly as she had intended. Harry had not only missed his flight, but had also been firmly cast in the public eye as a son whose mental and emotional health had been shattered by psychological abuse from his own family, making the road back to London seem more distant and uncertain than ever before. When these brazen smear campaigns reached the ears of the British royal family, just how fiercely would Prince William respond to defend the honor of his gravely ill father? In London, the sensational smear articles that Meghan Markle had paid to publish immediately reached the ears of the royal family. Seeing these blatant distortions spreading across international headlines at the very moment King Charles III was fighting for his life, Prince William was consumed with rage. He could not tolerate Meghan using his father's critical condition as a media weapon to smear Buckingham Palace and manipulate public opinion. Without hesitation, William stepped directly before reporters and the international press. With a stern expression and a voice trembling with fury, he delivered an extraordinarily forceful statement. The reports that have been circulating in the press over the past several hours are completely baseless and deeply malicious. Meghan Markle's side is deliberately spreading systematic misinformation in an attempt to distort the truth about my father's health for her own disgraceful personal agenda. The British royal family has never used and never will use my father's illness as a tool to punish or oppress anyone. This is a cruel smear campaign aimed at the honor of our family during one of its darkest moments. I call upon Harry, as both a son and a member of this family, to immediately come forward and publicly correct every one of these lies. While London was being shaken by William's uncompromising declaration, events inside the Montecito estate took a dramatic turn. Roughly 3 to 4 hours after drinking the glass of water, Harry finally began to awaken from his deep drug-induced sleep. His head throbbed as he groggily looked at the clock, only to realize with horror that he had long since missed his secret flight back to Britain. Filled with overwhelming suspicion, Harry grabbed his phone, only to find himself bombarded by countless missed calls, a flood of chaotic news reports, and William's furious public statement directed at his side. As he pieced everything together, from Meghan's desperate tears and attempts to stop him to the unusually offered glass of water that had sent him into an inexplicable sleep, and finally, to the smear campaign against the royal family that had erupted while he was unconscious, Harry instantly understood the truth. He realized that the woman he had shared his life with had drugged him and exploited his name to carry out a dirty media campaign. Years of suppressed anger exploded all at once. Harry stormed out of the room and furiously confronted Meghan in the middle of the living room, shouting in utter disappointment and overwhelming outrage. "What the hell have you done, Meghan? You actually drugged my water just so I'd miss my flight and lose my last chance to see my father. Are you even human anymore? And as if that weren't vile enough, you even hired people to publish those filthy articles, falsely accusing my father of fabricating his illness just to hurt me. You've turned me into an ungrateful son, a coward who has completely fallen apart in front of the entire world. Your selfishness, your lies, and your despicable schemes have gone far beyond anything I can tolerate. I gave up my family and my country to follow you, and this is how you repay me, by treating me like a puppet for your media manipulation." Meghan stood frozen in shock before the unprecedented fury of her husband. Harry's face was flushed with anger, and his eyes were filled with unmistakable disgust and unwavering resolve, leaving every excuse she could have offered completely silenced. The atmosphere inside the Montecito estate had utterly collapsed, signaling the beginning of an ending that could no longer be reversed for the royal couple. After this eruption of uncontrollable anger and a fracture beyond repair, what decisive action will Harry take to punish Meghan and find a way back to London? After unleashing all of the rage he had suppressed for so long upon Meghan, Harry stood in the middle of the living room, his chest heaving with anger. As he looked at the woman standing frozen before him, not a trace of compassion or hesitation remained in his heart. Every bond, every ounce of trust, and every bit of love he had once given her had been reduced to ashes by her despicable act of drugging him and the dirty media campaign she had just orchestrated. Wasting not another second, Harry immediately picked up his phone and personally booked a business-class seat on the next available flight back to Britain that same day. He knew he could not afford another moment of delay while his father's condition was deteriorating by the hour. After booking the flight, Harry turned and looked Meghan straight in the eyes. There was no longer any confusion, hesitation, or weakness in his gaze. All that remained was a chilling sense of cold determination. He bluntly delivered the strongest declaration of his life, stripping Meghan of every ounce of power and control she had ever held over him. Harry's cold statement read, Everything between us ends here, Meghan. I will never again be the puppet you manipulate and exploit for your dishonest media spectacles. Effective immediately, I will instruct the bank to freeze all of our jointly held assets, and I will reclaim everything that legally belongs to me. I have already contacted one of the country's leading law firms to prepare the paperwork for a unilateral divorce. Listen to me carefully. I will fight to the very end for custody of our 2 children. I will never allow my children to grow up under the care of a mother as deceitful, selfish, and toxic as you. I am taking them away from here. Harry's words struck Meghan like knives driven straight into both her pride and the very foundations of her power. For years, Meghan had been convinced that she held complete control over Harry, believing that a few tears, threats of divorce, or invoking their children would always be enough to force him into submission. She had never prepared herself for the possibility that Harry would fight back with such overwhelming resolve, such coldness, and such absolute finality. His declaration that he would freeze their shared assets and hire lawyers to pursue custody struck directly at Meghan's greatest vulnerability. Without the shared wealth, without the status of being a prince's wife, and without the children who had become her weapon for maintaining a connection to the royal family, Meghan realized that she stood to lose everything she had sacrificed her honor to build in America. As Meghan watched Harry remain completely unwavering while he turned his back, gathered the last of his belongings, and walked out of the Montecito estate toward the airport, she utterly collapsed. Standing alone in the vast living room, she slowly crumpled to the floor, tears streaming down her face. But this time, they were no longer the carefully performed tears she had once used to manipulate her husband. They were tears of helplessness, confusion, and overwhelming fear as she faced the dark future awaiting her. Every media scheme, every carefully calculated move she had made had ultimately backfired, burying her royal marriage with her own hands and leaving her with nothing but the cold rejection of the entire world. How do you feel about Harry's unwavering resolve and Meghan's complete downfall at the end of this dramatic story? In your opinion, what lesson does this ending offer about respecting family bonds and the consequences of deception and manipulation within a family relationship? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You'll enjoy it.